Hello, my name is Carol. I'm the head of Orbital Night, a studio that managed to release Castle Wreck. And I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me here, and I'm really humbled to be in a, surrounded by such great developers and Voodoo, such a great publisher. Um, so let me start with a few words on Orbital Night. We were founded in 2012. Our current team size is 18. We released 9 games. We have 20-something million downloads to this date. And a few words about like the history of the studio, because we made some mistakes, and if you haven't made them, you can learn from them. So we were founded in 2012. We grew out of a software house. I was actually a team leader at a software house, but I always wanted to make games, and there was a certain time that I managed to pitch the game idea to our CEO, and that's how it all started. Like the first game that we did was actually a game that I wanted to play myself, and I hear that a lot from other studios. It was called Star Horizon. It was a premium game, a space shooter, a rail shooter set in space. Like I'm a Star Wars fan, and like for mobile standards, it was a huge game. Like 7 people worked on it for almost 2 years. And we got lucky, I guess, because Apple featured us like tremendously, and the game, like, it wasn't a big financial success, but we broke even and even made some. So we thought, okay, like for a first project, that's not bad. And we planned to do a sequel. Like while we were doing that, like some of our team members needed to have something to do, so we figured, okay, let's do a small game this time. And it was a year of World Cup finals in Brazil, so we thought, like, we came with this idea, okay, maybe let's do a game about the Brazilian boy that lives in a favela in Rio and does football tricks. And we made this game in 3 months. It was called Kikarino, and like we released it like with 0 assumptions, 0 expectations. I remember even implementing the ads very naively. We put ad on the first spot. We didn't even know what's mediation even there. So, and you're smiling, so you know that IAD at that time was paying 10 times less than Chartboost, for example. So yeah, we were learning a lot, and we got featured, like, because like learned from Star Horizon, we kept the high production values on the games, and Apple obviously likes that, so we got featured. And like after 2 or 3 days, the game was making more money than Star Horizon, and that was the point that something clicked, and we thought, okay, that's what free to play is all about. And we scrapped all plans for sequel to Star Horizon, just focused on that game. We did updates, we just kept it alive, and then in 2016 we've made a sequel, and I think it was a first warning sign for our company, because we did more of everything. Like we did skins, we did more tricks, we did like new modes, we did new locations and all that stuff, and the game did better, but like not proportionally better, like compared to the investment. So like we were wondering, what did we do wrong? And since then we tried to release a couple different games, and we were struggling, and I think 2018 was the worst year at our studio. We released 4 games. We tried to make them more mid-core-ish. We were looking for different things. Only one of them like broke even. And again, we were just relying on features from Apple, and at that point I realized like we totally missed the point that UA is king. Like we never got that competence inside our studio. And that was the point. I thought, okay, we are behind, and we need a publisher, because we won't be able to do that ourselves. And at that point, I started to look for partners, and thankfully, Hugo wrote an email and like invited us to work with Voodoo, and we signed on in January, and I think we made the first prototype for Castle Rec in February, which was launched in April and then confirmed by end of May, and that's like the turning point, I think, for our studio. I don't know if I'd been here if it weren't for Castle Rec, because it was really bad, and I think that's a big lesson for everybody, like to try different things. So okay, enough about ourselves. Like let's go with Castle Rec. So it all started with an idea, and the idea was from one of our artists. And he, I quote, said something like in the lines, you know, when I was a kid, I used to play with my brother. I played with Lego bricks, and you know, the fun part was not the creating part, but like I loved the distraction. So we were building pirate ships, and then we were, you know, playing in destroying those pirate ships. So I said, okay, that sounds fun. Let's, you know, grab a programmer from the team, somebody that likes the idea, and like build a prototype. So they built something like this. You were able to shoot with the cannon the ship, and you know there was it was built out of smaller blocks, and you know you had those really nice distractions. But the hard part was figuring out what the gameplay is about. So we tried different things, and we weren't also sure about the control scheme. We tried, you know, swiping, you know, like dual joysticks, which is not hyper casual, but you know, we were trying different things, and it was dragging for some time. And at the same, you know, time, one of other developers heard the idea, and he came up with something like that. Like he, you know, took the idea, took the distraction idea, and he thought about, you know, building a tower, and you're just tapping it with, and you need to match colors. And when you match color, a block disappears and the tower falls down. And I really loved that game. I remember, you know, playing it endlessly because there was one thing really cool about it. If you were smart and when you destroyed blocks in a way that you went to the bottom really quickly, at the end you saw the whole thing fall down, and it was super cool. So the game had pretty good metrics. Like the day one, like for the first version, day one was almost good, or I think it was good. It was around 50%. CPI was not that great, like somewhere like 40, 40, 50, 40, 50 cents. D7 like was not bad, not great, like 15 something. And the session times were like great. Like we had like 30 minutes per user. So we kept on iterating. Like we did some, I think, 4 iterations. And you know, when I was doing this presentation, it came to me why we didn't improve the CPI, because all of them look quite similar. Yeah, and yeah, it was like that. The CPI like basically didn't move, or it was even worse than the first version. So yeah, we killed it. Like that's what you do. But at the same time, Castle Rec was, you know, moving forward, or not, or actually it wasn't moving forward. Like the 2 guys that were working on it were struggling, were thinking about different things, and I just came up to them and told them, guys, it's taking too long. We don't have that much time per prototype, so you got 3 days, figure something out, and just release it. And they had problems with the control scheme, and at the time I was playing Baseball Boy, and I told them, guys, maybe try this simple thing like that Baseball Boy has. You have this, you know, crosshair that's moving. You just need to tap and time the taps. Just do that, and they ask, what about the objective like? And we thought about, okay, let's make it like Angry Birds. We put some targets like this, and you were supposed to hit them all to progress. So we did 1 castle. Oh yeah, and why castles, not ships? Like ships, that was another problem. We didn't have ideas how to scale a game with ships, because ships, you know, travel on water, and water usually looks the same. And so we didn't have ideas how to, you know, build new levels. So we came with the ideas maybe castles will be easier. And so we tried that, and the first version, it was crappy, really crappy, and I had really no expectations. Again, like the best games we did, I had no expectations about them. And we kicked it out of the door, and like that, I wasn't surprised to see that D1 was really bad. It was 20 something, but CPI was great at that time. It was 26 cents, and it was the best performing game we had. So we thought, okay, it's something. Um, and we kept on iterating. So the second version we released, this time it took only 2 weeks, thankfully. We added 3 more castles and we changed the objective. So I think we made it simple because we figured like the fun part was destroying the castle. So why not make it the objective of the game? So the progress bar indicates like the progress of the destruction of the castle. We added some TNTs. It was supposed to make you feel smart that you hit a certain spot on the castle and boom, you got a bigger explosion. So at this point, D1 was actually good. It was 50 something, but still D7 wasn't that good. So we kept on iterating. And we added more castles. We did some tweaks and balancing. And balancing was just to make the game easier. That's all what we did, and that's when we released the game. And I was really surprised by how fast things were moving on from this point on. Yeah, the confirmation period was a very intense period of time. We've put more people on the project, like so the team grew from 2 to 5, and we were adding like I don't know, like 15 different tests during a 1 or half a week period, and you know after that you get results. You have to integrate them, do more tests, and the ones that were working was I think mostly balancing. Like so, we kept on making the game easier and easier, and it proved to be like the good choice. After some time, adding new castles like proved to be to have diminishing returns. So I think we added like something up to 12, and after that we saw no improvement. Other things like we added a ragdoll knights, so you have some knights on the castles, and when you hit the castle, they will fall out. A new iteration that will come live, I think this week, adds emotes, emojis on top of those knights, so they will be showing some emotion, which is quite hilarious. And the skins were like the biggest things that moved the KPIs. And to recap, the things that are most important for me from this project were like the fact that it almost didn't happen, and it's a very humbling thing for me. I think like it's a lesson that I shouldn't use my own judgment, but just to test as many things as it's possible. Yeah, performance. That's interesting because previously, if I'd use our own standards, I would never publish this game because it has quite bad performance. Like the castles are made of 5,000 to 6,000 bricks, and each of those bricks is a rigid body. So you can imagine the performance hit when you destroy the whole castle. Like it can drop to 5 FPS on iPhone 6, and like just alone, that fact would prevent me from publishing this game. But when we pushed it to tests, we saw that people don't care. Like they enjoy it. Maybe we got away with that because when the frame rate drops, you're just observing the distraction, and I'm just figuring maybe to some people it's a slow-mo effect or something. I don't know. But the thing is that we got away with that, and the balancing. Yeah, probably most of you know that, but like the easier the better. And the agenda said that I was supposed to talk about high LTV games, and as you probably noticed, I haven't even mentioned that, and there's a good reason for that, because I have no idea how to do that, and we never intended that to be for Castlevania to be that way. It just happened. So and again, I think it's a lesson that you just need to try different things, and you just need to acknowledge that you don't know most of the stuff. And to me, I think it comes from the fact that even our users don't know what they want to play until they see it. So until you test it, you don't know. And yeah, I think that's all. So.